ile hukumu akatakuwa inatolewa, lakini kwa sasa ni kwamba waziri wa uchukuzi Davis Chirchir anatarajiwa kuwasilisha stakabadhi kuhusu mkataba tata wa serikali na kampuni ya Adani Holdings. Mtazamaji, kwa sababu Chirchir alikosa kuwasilisha stakabadhi hizo hapo jana, akisema kwa kulikuwa kuna kesi mahakamani na kwamba angehitaji ushauri kwanza ili asiingilie kesi hiyo. Tusikize kinachojiri kwa sasa.
Have been met. That is the financial clause, which would be a runway of about 9 months. The private party develops the project and runs for a maximum of 30 years under the supervision of the contracting authority, and the private party hands over the project back 100% to the government in good state, handed to the government through, of course, the contracting authority. That is the process. So the signing, or we'll see a document, if we successfully walk this journey with the concessionaire, we will see a concession document being signed on step 17. That is, Chairman, the process under the PPP Act and an unsolicited public investment proposal is a procurement process under the PPP Act. I think because this Act, Chair, and I did say this gives us a great opportunity to talk to Kenya through Parliament, to really appreciate the fact that when we don't have much fiscal space for the mega projects like Rironi Mau Summit, Eldoret, Malaba Road, or the expressway, or the new airport, the way to go is to bring the private sector to build. And the next step I'll be, and maybe to just finalize before I go to question and answer, when this process is employed, honorable members, we seek to ensure that the return on equity to the investor is not unreasonable. Those are the things you negotiate through this process. Are they seeking too much profit on their investment? Are they investing too much equity? Equity, is expensive. If I can take, I'd rather take my money to the bank and earn 18% today instead of being forced to invest with country risk at 12%, 14%. But that is only a component of 30%. We don't, in big projects, you don't allow more than 30% equity. The rest would be debt. And debt, you get it at market rates. We can assist and work together to the market and look for debt at 8%, 9%, 10%, whatever the rate is. And that component of 70% would therefore be priced according to the pricing market for the debt. So having said that, members, let me then more specifically respond to the question to say, yes, no, we don't. I can confirm that we are at that stage that I did mention, and we do not have an executed concession agreement with Adani. And we're carefully walking through the journey, so there's no contract with Adani as we speak today. We've initialed an ahead of terms agreement, which I've submitted in the pack of documents, which will basically, and it's non-binding, and it sets the terms of what goes into the draft concession agreement. The tendering process, honorable members, just to run through the script of the chairman very quickly, the tendering process it's not in the form of the Procurement Act that we employ every day and where we can do limited, we can do competitive and so on and so forth, because this is an area where you allow private investors to approach you and say, I'm interested in building an airport, I'm interested in building hostels, I'm interested in building a road. And you'd of course expect serious firms, and this is when we do the due diligence to confirm that do they know how to run airports and so on and so forth. Chair, why don't you, because I think I'm making good use of time, why don't you allow me to go through the various questions and in another 5-6 minutes and articulate well the various questions raised by Senator Richard Onyonka, and therefore allow Q&A thereafter. More structured, Chairman, the Senator did ask, Honorable Senator did ask us to confirm.
1 minute, Bana CS.
CS and Chair, my opinion is that since he has dealt with the first items, it would make sense that we engage on this first phase before we go to the second phase. I don't know whether that would...
Actually, that was just a background, an introduction.
Okay.
He has not actually started answering your question.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So the first question, what we would be asking ourselves is, because there are about, is it 17 questions? Okay. So whether we go through all of them or we can... Okay. So we can start with the first one, that is to confirm whether Kenya Airports Authority has entered into an agreement with Adani. That is on page 4.
Page 4, thank you. Chair, on the question on whether we have entered into an agreement with Adani Commercial Limited, a private company, to lease out JKI under the Build, Operate, Transfer model of public-private partnership, and if so, to state the terms of this agreement and to indicate the associated costs to be incurred by the airline and other users of JKI. Chair, Honorable Chair, no concession exists between Kenya Airports Authority and MS Adani Holding Limited pursuant to the letter PIP application of March, currently undergoing stakeholder engagement, due diligence, and drafting of the concession agreement. MS Adani Holding Limited of India submitted a PIP to build, operate, and transfer JKI under the public-private partnership model. The government is pursuing PPP model on account of fiscal constraint in the face of acute infrastructure constraint. The sector chair infrastructure deficit was an output of the National Aviation Policy Study and a mid-term investment plan of December 2022 done by ALG of Spain, and this helps us to answer the other question that comes later under the clientship of the PPP Directorate. The policy guides inter alia the substantial development of civil aviation sector with respect to aviation planning and development, security, safety, environment, technology, human resource development, and data and information management. The midterm plan, on the other hand, assess the high technical, economic, and financial evaluation of each of the main 6 airports covering JKI, Moi, Wilson, Kisumu. Detailed feasibility study was further done on JKI by ALG of Spain under KAA sponsorship to guide investment, and this is where we are later on seeing the mix-up between ALG as a transaction advisor when they were actually doing this particular job. The indicative cost of the users and airline is work in progress with the methodology of determining under Section 12 of the heads of terms which we have attached. As regarding, Chair, the contract documents of this agreement and to indicate the ownership of Adani, the process undertaken to identify and award the lease and stating whether there was public participation in the process, Chairman, like I've said, we have not reached contracting stage in this transaction. We only have the head of terms document summarizing key negotiation items awaiting the finalization of the stakeholder engagement, which is currently ongoing, and the due diligence, which is also currently ongoing, to inform the drafting of the concession agreement. The commercial details of the proponent are expected to be output of the ongoing due process and will be part of the concession agreement. On whether a tendering process was conducted, I think, Chairman, I don't want to delve too much into that because we've said it is a public initiated proposal, unsolicited, and we have captured that well in item number 3, response. As to providing the details of the contract, Chair, Honorable Chairman, the contract between KAA and ALG of Spain, I think, let me read the question so that we articulate that because that was a very specific. Provide details of the contract between Kenya Airways Authority, ALG, a Spanish company, the transaction advisor indicating the ownership of the company, the process undertaken to identify and award the contract to develop an air transport policy in Kenya and the subsequent payment of 160 million to this company. Chair, the contract between KAA and ALG of Spain of December 2023 was for the JKI feasibility study to identify detailed technical, commercial, feasibility, and social environmental aspect of the airport to guide investment decision making. The contract and the executive summary of the feasibility study are also appended in the documents I've submitted to this Honorable House this morning. Submit notices of meeting, agenda meetings.
Let me be helping you with the question so that you can just give me the
Thank
answer.
You so much.
Yes.
Honorable Chair,
number
5.
That is submit notices of meetings, agenda, minutes, and resolutions of the Kenya Airports Authority board meetings of 15th July 2024.
Chairman, the board formed an ad hoc committee to handle the JKIA concession project with respect to the technical, financial, legal risk, stakeholders management, and other relevant aspects. The committee commenced its sitting on July 15 with a notice of draft minutes attached to the document I've submitted, also included in the pack.
Question 6. State whether the government plans to avail free land to the company known as Adani Commercial Limited to build a city-side development on public land, which may lead to land disputes in areas surrounding JKIA.
Honorable Chairman, the government is not offering any free land to Adani Airports Holding in the proposal. Adani included in its proposal a request for 30 acres of land at JKIA for real estate and commercial development. That's what we are calling the city side. This request has been excluded in the pending concession agreement, but will be handled separately under the KAA policy on concession and leases like any other commercial operation, including approval by the head of public service, which is the current policy on leasing out government property. Refer to section 2.6 to be specific on the head of terms, which is included in the pack. Honorable Chair, the committee also sought for supplementary information on providing a copy of the privately initiated proposal